Hi and welcome to Excel Plus. Tips, tricks, fun, queries answered, anything to do with Excel. Now this is going to be the first part of a multi-part tutorial showing you how to put together an interactive dashboard like the one you can see here. Now just to give you a demo of what this can do, if we look at the data at the top, we've got actual against forecast variance for the month that is selected. We can backtrack the month and the year-to-date figures. We can change the comparison, actual to budget, actual to prior year. We have commentary, which is specific to the month. We have the company revenue data restated in terms of the products. Notice we have a traffic light against each, which alters depending on the comparison. North America is under budget, but it's up on last year. We have a waterfall chart which redraws itself dynamically again based on the month and or the comparison. Now down at the bottom here we have a slicer which selects which region is compared. Now the region one alters the two graphs and it alters the product or market view, doesn't alter the other data. So this is purely for the product view and the trend analysis. Again, the products alter dynamically with the country, or you can select all. Here we have a monthly trend, actual v budget. Now this graph actually shows the same as the one on the left. It's just a different way of restating it, where we have the actual and the comparator overlaid in a bar chart, which is it's quite a popular way of showing these things. I still prefer the line, however I thought I would do both. So we can see, you can see on the chart here where it falls below budget, and you can see the difference. If we select all. Now this is built up by a range of supporting schedules, many of which are pivot tables with indexing formulas. There's all the company data, and if we go onto the developer tab and look in the macros, there are some macros to scale the chart, to work the slicer, and where's this one? And this one here, which I'll explain when we get to it, which picks up changes on the revenue sheet to trigger the scaling of the chart macro. So essentially it's drawn in the background. So basically if you change the revenue, it knows that the chart needs redrawing. So that's not linked to any one button as such. It's essentially an event-driven macro. Now I've uploaded a template which you can use to start designing this dashboard, and basically to save you some work I've left a few bits of the formatting in, because and I've done these kind of tutorials in the past, often getting the formatting right is such a pain in the backside. So I've left the tabs and I've left some formatting, some boxes on, and key, I've left you the data sheet to save you having to recreate a considerable amount of random data yourself. As there's over 500 lines worth of data, that'll save you considerable work. So step one, before you start your designing, I would download this template. It'll save you some time, and it'll actually save me some time as well whilst I'm going through the steps. I won't have to waste time formatting whilst you're watching. So step 1, when you've got this, is look at the data sheet. We really want to convert this into a table. It's a much better way of working with a reasonable amount of data. So if we highlight this area first and format as table, pick whichever format you like, quite like that one, and this is now a table. We'll call it data table, which means now it's also named range. You'll see it in there. Now the good thing with this is some of the features we don't use here, but it's a much better way of handling data. Say for example I wanted to add another column, it would automatically add it to the table. Say I wanted to sum that column, sorry, I just did Alt and equals there to sum above. However, it gives you then access to a range of formulas which you can then change. Admittedly, I don't want that there, so I'll just get rid of it, and I'll get rid of the test. And of course, similarly, if we were to add a new month at the bottom here, it would expand the table to include a new month. So these, once you've formatted a table like this, when it comes to adding extra data in subsequent months, or if you decide you want to add extra columns to the analysis, much easier you get, or sort of auto expansion options. It will copy formulas. It's a much easier way of working with your data sets. And I believe, I mean, someone can correct me if this is the case, and it's also significantly quicker. Right, so there's your data sheet formatted. Alright, now we need to really make this look a little nice. So that's what it looks like. We'll flip back and forth between this to get the formatting right. So the first thing we need to do is insert shape. Now for the large box, I believe I've used that shape. So round a same side corner rectangle. I drew it about this size. Shorten the corners and let's move that down a bit. Rotated it. Again, lifted it up, and then format the shape, no fill. It's looking a bit more like it. Line, tab black. Now, key thing on the properties tab, do not resize with cells. Brilliant. So now if we do anything here, it doesn't move. Let's have a look. It's quite similar to the other one, and it goes down to row 44. So let's bring this down to 44. And let's nudge it a little off to the side. Great, and now to get the bit that was in there, again that's just another shape. And again, this is just an aesthetic, whatever appeals to yourself. So let's fill that gap in, make it flat black. Although Wayne Enterprises or Wayne Inc. there was blue, wasn't it? So sort of dark blue. Right, let's have a look. Right, I've pulled it in a little, and for the radio buttons I've got another box there. So let's insert that shape. That's a slightly slightly lighter blue. Alright, that's all the main shapes in play. Right, now how you format this, whatever colour you use, logo, is purely down to yourselves. So I think we'll leave it there for the first one. We're nicely set up. Take a look at that data sheet. In terms of these parameters, if you look at my tutorial on waterfall graphs, and maybe check that one out before we get around to the waterfall graph, essentially a lot of what's in here is already in that tutorial. I mean, I'll still go through it, of course, but these formulas are already existing in that one. I've just added some extra functionality up here, but we'll cover that in the next tutorial, and bit by bit in easy steps we'll build up that really impressive looking dashboard. So keep checking the channel for the next tutorial. We'll move on. Till then, keep on enjoying the Excel. There can be no greater fun in this world, I believe, than adding up a few numbers, making a graph. So enjoy your time with Excel. See you soon.